everybody, and welcome to everybody's favorite youth baseball podcast show, Clearing the Bases, featuring Coach Jimmy, Phil, and Jerry. I'm David Friedman, and I want to thank you for coming along this journey with us. How are we doing today, Coach?
Doing good, Dave. Dealing with a little adversity after last week's recording. Thank God, by teaching the kids how to deal with adversity, I learned how to do it myself.
That's it. We shake it off and we move forward. We had a little bit of technical difficulties last week, but we came back stronger than ever here, staying positive, and looking forward to having a great show for you guys. Just want to mention a couple things, a little housekeeping stuff here. Make sure that you subscribe to the show at Clearing the Bases. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and anywhere you can get your podcasts. Follow us at The CTB Show, on Twitter, and drop us a line via email at clearingthebases@gmail.com. We love to interact with you guys. And the show's been growing and growing, huh, Jim?
Oh, yeah, it's great. And actually, a lot of correspondence has been coming in, from listeners through Gmail and also people reaching out on social media. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for listening and making the show gain a lot of traction.
Yeah, in fact, we have been moving up the charts, and player.fm, which is a podcasting website that tracks all kinds of activity on all types of podcasts, recently named us very highly on their podcast worth a listen list. So very, very excited about that. And we have you, our listeners, to thank for that. So this week, we are very excited to have with us former professional ball player Kevin Gallagher. He has been on multiple shows, such as Charlie Carnaccio's. He's been on Rick Wolf's show a bunch of times. He is the author of a fantastic book called Teach Your Kid to Hit So They Don't Quit. Please welcome Mr. Kevin Gallagher to our airwaves.
Hi, guys. How you doing, Dave, Jimmy? Thank you for mentioning the book. Because of the last week, we had the technical difficulty. I had a week off, so I put together a new book, and it's called, instead of Teach Your Kid to Hit, it's Teach Your Parent How to Record. So that'll be coming out soon, just so you know.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea. I'm sure there are many, many people that could benefit for that. At least two of them that are on this call. So, yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
Well, wait a second, though. I mean, I think that needs a little explanation. So last week, Dave and I had Kevin on, and we went through, I don't know, maybe about an hour and a half show. And at the end of the show, I realized that I never hit the record button. So one of the things I really want to do is thank Kevin for being so patient and understanding and coming back to do this for real.
No, that's the only gentle dig I'll give you, Jimmy. I've been very, very lenient all week, so that was it. A little more.
Oh, God. All right. Well, as long as we're starting off with some lighthearted topics, Kevin, give us your opinion of the Rittenhouse verdict. No, I'm just kidding. I was
going to say, I don't go down that path. I don't go down that for the inside.
All right. So anyway, all right. So yeah, we're gonna move on here with Kevin. He is Jimmy and I already know, he's a fantastic guest to have on. Hopefully, this week's show will be better than the one that didn't get done. So, Kevin, let's talk a little bit about just your. Let's go to your beginnings of baseball. How did your love affair with the game start?
My love affair started with sitting down with Dad and watching the game, and enjoying it because there was a lot going on. And I think it's important for the kids at a young age to, watch the game on TV. That'll bring you to the ballpark. I know when I watched the game, and then when I was with Dad, and hit pop flies or batting practice, well, I wasn't just going down the sliding pond or was on the monkey bars. I was playing the game, and in my mind, I had the green grass in my mind. I had players that I was watching the night before. I heard the roar of the crowd. So it's like the fantasy going on in your mind. A pop fly. I'm in the Polo Grounds or Shea Stadium or Yankee Stadium, as opposed to just doing something. So sitting down watching with Dad was good. And the kids today don't do a lot of that, and we'll get into that. And that's the genesis of why they're not going to the ballpark as well. And a lot more we'll get into. But that's how it started. I played Little League in Manhattan, the Inwood Little League, and progressed up the ranks. But and when you're good at something, I happen to be good. All right. You continue doing it because you get praise, you get pats in the back, and it feels good. But there's a lot of kids out there that don't wind up going on to play high level baseball. And Major League Baseball, the fan base is that kid, the average kid. That's the wider base. that they need to, capture. And today they're having trouble doing that. And we'll get into that.
So talk to us a little bit about why you wrote the book and what is involved.
Yeah. So I'll give you the truth, right? So I had this book in me for many years. I just never got around to it. I'm going to do it. And I'd sit down and do it and start and stop for years. And but the way it came about was this. I told you I was pretty good. I played up into, the Pittsburgh organization. I had a short career because I got hurt. But the point was I played up that level, was always pretty good, right? Actually very good, right? Because I played up that high. But when my injury occurred and baseball was taken away from me and the rug was pulled out, I was quite bitter about it. I felt like, why me? Why did this happen to me? Blah, blah, blah. And I carried that bitterness around for a long time, inwardly. I wasn't the guy that sat at the bar and told you how good I was, but I carried it around inwardly. It affected me socially. It affected some of my drinking habits and all that. So it brought me down a path I didn't want to go. One day, many years later, my brother was one of those average guys, okay? He later on became a good athlete, but young age, he was smaller, he didn't make the teams, he was at the end of the bench, that type of guy. But he loved the game, he wanted to play. And many years later, he said to me, Kevin, he said, I'd give my right arm to be you for one day, to hit one home run, to get one trophy, to get one headline. He says, you had all that stuff for so long and you're not enjoying one moment of it. And the light bulb went off for me. I said, oh my God, I was looking through the lens of baseball as my experience. And there's so many kids out there that want to play this game that aren't taught how to hit, or wind up not making the team, or sitting into the bench. And it affects who they are, it affects their self-esteem and whatnot. And I began to see it from their viewpoint. And so I wrote the book with that in mind. And as I wrote it, it expanded into how those are the kids that Major League Baseball needs to be fans. Because there's millions and millions of those kids, as opposed to the small amount that go up and play college ball and into pro ball. And
right, because the most enjoyable part of the game is hitting the baseball. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, the game is about hitting the ball. Nobody joins baseball to play right field and get maybe one ball a game. It's that 4 times you come to bat and the spotlight's on you, and either you succeed or fail. And if you're not taught right, and you swing and miss, it's embarrassing. The girlfriend's in the stands, the buddies are down the end, strangers are watching. You only do that for so long. You wind up going to another sport or maybe the street corner, but you leave baseball. And when you leave a sport, you don't come back. You go play another one, that becomes your sport. And that's where Major League Baseball is their fan base starts. And what we'll get into today is our youth are not engaged in the game, and the business of baseball has no relationship with that generation. And any business to be successful needs some sort of a relationship with their customer, whether it be psychological, emotional, physical. It's got to be something. And right now they don't. They're missing it. And that's the fan we have to capture today.
So after reading the book, the general theme is launch angle versus staying on plane and staying in the contact zone longer. Okay, so explain that. Why do you feel that's important?
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, any of these social media sites, you're going to see all sorts of ways to teach hitting. And there's no one way to teach, okay? But you're going to see all these different gyrations and lift swing and all sorts of stuff, your legs and torque. And geez, hitting is hard, but it's simple at the same time. And the way to get a kid to stay with the game is to have him hit the ball. If he hits the ball, runs down to first, slides in, gets dirty, gets high fives in the dugout, he's coming back tomorrow, But if he swings and misses, he's not. So how do you get the kid to hit? Well, who teaches them? Mom and dad, the local coach. Who's the local coach? Some mom and dad. These guys aren't supposed to know how to hit. It's very difficult to do. So they just do the best they can. They throw BP and they hope the kid hits it. And if not, they give them, keep your shoulder up, step back. It doesn't make any sense to them. So what I've done in this book, it's a nice story about baseball, the state of the game, why it's failing, and then how do we keep the kids involved so the game up top succeeds. And the way we do that is to provide the parent a process that he can understand, own, and then take out to teach his child and other children to hit. And the basis of that is called top hand hitting. Top hand hitting has been around since baseball started. Last 10 years, we've gotten away from it and we've gone to the lift swing where the ball, every swing is trying to hit the ball as far as you can. So it's changed the fundamentals of the game. But the top hand swing is designed to get the barrel of the bat on the same plane of the ball as quickly as you can for as long as you can to create multiple points of contact. So if the ball is coming in at one level, your swing's on the same level, you can hit it in a lot of different places, right? But if you're coming up and the ball is coming in, there's only one spot to hit it right there. And so in the major leagues, that's the swing they're using. So they're teaching that down into college, high school, little league, because that's what they're doing up top. And that's how you're going to get a college scholarship. You got to hit the ball far and have exit velocity. That's how you're going to get scouted. You have to have exit velocity and all that stuff. So they're teaching that. Now, I'll finish up with this. In the major leagues, the best hitters in the world are hitting 35. People aren't hitting more home runs. More people are hitting home runs. Does that make any sense? A lot of guys hitting 35 home runs. A lot of guys hitting 40 home runs, but they're striking out 200 times, right? That's 40% of the time they come to bat, they're striking out. The ball's not being put in play. So they're having difficulty making contact with that swing. And when they do, it goes far, but it's not often. So if they're having trouble, and then we'll try to teach the kid on the sandlot to hit that way. If they can't do it, how are they going to do it, right? So they're failing, swinging and missing, and when they swing and miss, they quit. So we want to keep them in the game, and the best way to do it. My book was written, I'll tell you right here, my book was not written for the parent to have their kid be the best kid on the field. No way. My book was written to have their kid be the happiest kid on the field, and he'll stay with the game.
Well, that's fantastic. And that's I can tell you from my perspective, the best thing that I like about the book is the way that it's written is that somebody that did not play ball, somebody that didn't play it or didn't play at a high level can read the book, go out there with their 6-year-old, 8-year-old, what have you, and actually start working on things. Because it's one of the things I know when I was coaching in the Little League, when we'd have any type of parent meetings or as a league basis, trying to get more parents involved, the biggest excuse was, oh, I don't know this stuff. I don't know this stuff. And I could tell you, even from my own perspective, when my oldest son first started playing ball, I played since I could walk. Basically, I had 2 older brothers that played. So I had a glove on my hand before my feet could hit the floor. And then I played through college ball. But even for myself, like when my son started playing, I didn't volunteer to coach the first season because I didn't think I knew enough about teaching and about coaching the game. And then I very quickly saw, well, I certainly know more than a lot of these guys. So then I got more involved. But I think that's a very common misconception for parents, is that you have to have, you have to already have somehow years of experience. You have to know all this stuff. No, if you know the basics and you can do very, very simple things, you can get involved. And the more involved that the parents get to some degree at the beginning, if they are enjoying it, then probably the kids are going to be able to enjoy it with their parents getting involved. And just that aspect, I don't think I've ever seen any other book or any other approach like that. It seems like most of the hitting things that you see, all these videos on YouTube, it's all almost catered to people that already know what they're doing. And this is just a nice, refreshing change from that.
Yeah, this book, it's the only book that I know of, and I've researched it. It's a children's book written to the parent. What? Yeah, this is not for the child to read. It's for the parent to read, so he can learn and understand. You make a good point. Parents, we're not born to know how to teach someone to hit. And so this is a process. The book, as you know, talks about the whole situation. And in the end, we have an 8-step process. It's written clearly, has illustrations of a character I created called Riley Dude, who could be any kid. If you notice, he's not a tremendous looking athlete. He's the average kid. And then we go on and we have a video for each step. So if a parent wants to learn how to hit, within 45 minutes, they can go through this video of 24 minutes, because each step is 3 minutes, and they can know it and they can take it to their kid. But here's the deal. You made a good point. So most parents, the overwhelming number of parents, don't know how to teach people to hit. Even players that played the game at a high level have a difficulty teaching their child to hit. Why? Because they don't really have a process. They just did it. They had eye-hand coordination. They did it, and so it's hard to really take that and give them a step-by-step process of what you're doing, because you just do it naturally. Most of the coaches, almost all the coaches in Major League Baseball and managers, bullpen coaches, catching coaches, hitting coaches, they weren't the best players. They were the guys that played in the big leagues, but had to work hard to do it. And they developed a process and a blueprint that stuck up here. And so they want to teach somebody how to turn a double play. They know exactly, do this, you do that, no hitting. They have a blueprint in mind, right? So the parent's not supposed to. So I'm giving the parent a blueprint. I'm giving them the answers to the test before they go out with the kid. And they can do it, be able to teach their child. And it's going to make sense to the child. They're not going to do it because you say it. Don't underestimate your child's intellect. You got to tell them why you're doing it. Every step I say, before you take the step, tell your child what we're going to do and tell him why. So he buys into it, so it makes sense to him. And that's how the book was written. And that's why it's become so popular, that the average parent, you can give it to anybody for Christmas or Father's Day, and the parent for the child. I got a guy last night. He said, I just bought your book, Kevin. I'm going to give it to my son, who has a 3.5-year-old son. And he's going to teach him. He's going to give it to him for Christmas, and he's going to teach him, And that's what it's about.
Right. So one of the things you just said, explaining why, that is a huge part. If you can teach the hitting and understand why you're doing what you're doing for the young player is very important. The other thing too is that what I like about the book is the simplicity of it, because primarily when I'm not coaching, when I'm instructing players, whether I'm doing individual lessons or I'm doing group team instruction, my philosophy on hitting is, I guess it's the KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid. It's simple. Stay simple. Don't try to overcomplicate it for the kids.
Yeah, if you look at some of the videos I can't follow some of these videos. They get all sorts of gadgets and everything else they use. And I don't know why would I want to do this? And they're gearing it towards the kid that's already on travel ball and up. And this method, trust me, this method's used in the major leagues. It has been for years and years and years. The book is endorsed by Rico Petrocelli. I put him on the front cover. Many major league players have endorsed it, but he's on the front cover because he was the first one that came to me and said, I want to get involved with the book. He's in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. There's plenty, Jeff Fry. There's plenty of players that have used this over the years. So it's not just for the kids starting out. But so that's what you say. I didn't write this book. You said it's a simple book, and it is. I made sure. I didn't write this book to tell you how much I know about baseball.
Right.
I wrote this book so you can know more about baseball. And you can take it and make it your own. That's not my process. I want to give it to you. You take it and go use it, So, because what the parents teach is, they do their best. They give up their time. They throw the ball. They beat P. And like I said before, keep your shoulder up, son. What would that actually do? Why am I doing it? Step back. Step closer. Swing harder. Don't swing so hard. It's all good intentions, but it doesn't make sense to me right now with them then. But if you tell them, here's the ball's coming in here. I was teaching, let me tell you this quick story. I was teaching my nephew, who had no interest in baseball, but his parents did, to hit the ball. I took him out in the backyard. I explained to him, and he's swinging, missing, swinging. I said, listen, here's what we're trying to do. The bat's on this plane, ball's coming in this plane, and you have multiple points to hit it. Does that make sense to you? He goes, oh, is that like if there was a meteor in space and it was heading towards Earth and they were understanding it exploded? I said, that's exactly what it is. Oh, I got it.
Awesome.
Next thing I know, he's hitting line drives, but it made sense to him in his own little world of video games. That made sense to him. So,
yeah, I think that what you had said, I think that a lot of instructors and trainers and coaches are trying to impress people with how much they actually know instead of trying to, just get the job done and get the player to be able to hit.
Yeah. And that's why I said my intention here is pure. I want to see the kids play the game. I think I mentioned to you once before that in 2019, there was 2.6 million kids that signed up for Little League. Whether they played or not, I don't know. They signed up for Little League. All right. Of that, 500,000 kids went to high school and played ball. That's like kind of the next step. So that's 2.1 million kids. Where'd they go? I don't know. Maybe they weren't good enough. Maybe they didn't like it. Maybe they were at the end of the bench. Maybe they weren't taught. I don't know. But that's that 2.1 million, not the 500,000. They're going to be baseball fans. It's the 2.1. Where'd they go? Major League Baseball. I'm going to get into saving the games. Another movement I have that a national. We'll talk about that in a minute because I'm fearful that this game, and a lot of people will be irrelevant in 15 years. These kids today are the fan base, the customers that are going to buy the product in 15 years. And if they're not watching it now and involved with it now. So those 2.1 million kids, those are the kids we got to get involved. You don't have to go on to play high school baseball to become a fan. You have to have had a good experience for the year or 2 or 3 that you played Little League, and it gets in your blood. You ever get on second base by an error and you score the winning run, and everybody's patting you on the back and you're dirty. That's it. You're a baseball fan. That's all it takes.
Yeah, it's like many things in life. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Yeah. It can be a simple process. And I think I think the book is a great approach to it, and we're gonna help promote it, get it out there.
The book is Teach a Kid to Hit So They Don't Quit. It's on Amazon. It's on BarnesandNoble.com. You can buy it at Jeff Fry's site, shegunhitting.com. It's also on my website, which is hittingsimple.com. It's a nice name, right? hittingsimple.com. And the last thing I'll say about the book, and we can move on, is that, it's Teach a Kid to Hit. But this style of hitting can be taught at any point in your career, because at some point, the game outpaces us all. Otherwise, we'd all be in the Hall of Fame. The game speeds up. You're hitting a good at 85. Now you're hitting not good at 89. So there's a point that you can we revert back to this style of getting that barrel of the bat on the same plane of the ball. And I'm only talking about the fastball here. because in the early stages, that's all you see. But you can resurrect a career. Many players have resurrected their major league career because their long swing was not working anymore because they slowed down at 31, 32 now. They have to shift, and they would shift back to the top end hitting and make more contact. And so kids in high school that are having trouble getting to varsity, or kids trying to get into college, most kids, Dave, you're probably like me and Jimmy. When you played, if you had in a slump, what would you do? You'd go to the batting practice, maybe go to the batting cage and take BP and do the same thing over and over, and you'd hit the ball. So now it's 80 miles an hour. It's a fastball. That's working. You get to the game, it doesn't again. So you can shift that style at any point in your career and resurrect it. Matter of fact, Rick Wolf, who's the host of WFAN, the Sports Edge, which is the longest running sports parenting show in the country for 24 years, was told by Al Goldstein, the super scout for the Angels at the time, and later on a big executive in baseball, that Rick, at 19, if you want to go on to the pros, you got to change your swing. It's too long. And when you get up there, the ball's going to be coming in much faster, and you're going to miss it because that one angle, that one spot, you're coming up behind it. So he changed his career, and he played a number of years in the Detroit Tiger organization. So that's it for the book. But thank you for the pulpit there.
So yeah, no, it's very, very exciting stuff, Kevin. So yeah, go out to hittingsimple.com. Go ahead and reserve your copy now. Make sure that you get it because, like I said, all your players can benefit from reading through this. All your parents can benefit from reading through this. And let's make our players hit the ball. So moving on to our next topic with you. I know you're very, very passionate about Save the Game. So talk to us a little bit about the genesis of the Save the Game and how this came about.
Yeah, so the book itself is about the launch angle and how it's hurt the game. And the book became the platform for me to be introduced to a lot of influential people in baseball, major league players, coaches, scouts. I developed a relationship with the Met hitting coach. I'd speak to him before games on the field. Journalists, it got me into that world, right? They liked what they read. They saw the problem with baseball, and we began to talk. And it came to me during writing the book. And my idea is that I believe that the game, I believe, and many people believe, there's a problem with the game. And a lot of people will tell you there's many problems with the game, right? Whatever it might be, too expensive, too flashy. There's a million different things. But the problem I see, the singular problem that we need to fix, and we can fix the other stuff later, is the fact that the game is not being watched, not being played by our youth. And if they're not playing the game, we have a problem in 15 years because that's going to be the customer base for baseball. So I have launched, along with a few different players, a colleague of mine, Pat Gagan, Jeff Fry at the front, and a lot of people behind us, a motion called Save the Game. And Save the Game is a movement designed to create change in baseball at the major league level. Why? Like I said, the kids aren't involved, they're not watching the game, and that's their base in 15 years. Baseball knows they have a problem, and they're making changes, but they're just making changes to shorten a boring game, not trying to make a boring game more exciting. Baseball is in the entertainment business. They're not providing enough entertainment. It's with the all or nothing swing now. They've changed the fundamentals of the game to everybody's trying to hit a home run every time up. Consequently, in between home runs, there's very little action. You have 3-run home run in the first after a couple of walks, 3-run home run in the eighth after a couple of walks, you scored 6 runs, but it doesn't feel like you scored 6 runs because the home run's a very sudden event and it ends very suddenly too. 30 seconds later, you're sitting down again. A rally can take 10, 15 minutes where you score 2 or 3 runs and the fans are on their feet. So we've created a movement because, like I said, we fear that the baseball fan will not be there. The customer won't be there in 15 years. Any business needs new customers. It's a lifeline of the business, right? But some businesses have thought they were too big to fail. U.S. Steel, Sears and Roebuck, Blockbuster. You can go on because they didn't adapt and change with the times. And Major League Baseball is looking around. Things are okay right now. Things are okay. We'll make some changes. We're okay. We're Major League Baseball. And what I'm saying is your customer base in 15 years, if they're not there, they're not spending money, they're not buying hats, they're not watching TV, your TV contract's going to go lower, blah, blah, blah. It's business. It's a revenue. You're going to have a revenue cliff. And so some statistics on that would be, and this is a good one here, the average age of a TV baseball viewer is 57 years old, and that's 15 years older than any other sport. You could pay attention to that. In 2005, the average baseball fan's age was 41.
Wow.
So 15 years later, we're now at 57. It's the same guy watching the game, right? And in 15 years, where are we going to be? If we're not backfilling the people as they get older, move on, unfortunately die, we're not getting a new customer. So that needs to be paid attention to. So we've created this national movement, which we're going to unleash. I mean unleash, because we're building it now, right after the Super Bowl and before spring training. And it's a national social and digital movement to gather 1 million signatures that we're going to pick up and bring to Major League Baseball. We're going to harness the energy of discontent out there in America. But everybody complaining about the game, but nobody has a solution. We have some solutions that we're going to bring to Major League Baseball. So we're going to harness that energy of discontent, 1 million signatures, get an audience for Major League Baseball. I'm already working on that. We'll talk about that in a minute. And tell them you've got a problem. You know you do, but you're trying to fix it all in the wrong ways. You're shortening a boring game to a shorter, boring game. We need entertainment. Here's how to do it. And so that's what we're going to do with Major League Baseball. And we have some ideas on how to do it. And what we're doing now, we're in the incubating period, and we're gathering support. And we're going to drive this with ex-Major League players, famous names, coaches, scouts, Hall of Fame journalists, entertainers. Okay, we're going across the whole spectrum because we want to get them guys to buy in, which they will, and then get on social media and tell their followers, hey, the game needs to be changed. We're going to save this game. We need to make changes. Go to change.org, which is where we'll be. Save the game. Click the box that you're unhappy with the sport, and then we'll pick that up and bring it to Major League Baseball. And we have some solutions, which we'll get into in a little bit. But that's the movement that we're working on. We're working on the campaign right now. We're finalizing it. We're finalizing the website, which is SaveTheGameUS.com, which is live now, but only to sign up. We're going to have the whole thing behind it shortly. So what we're trying to do, in a nutshell, and I'll finish here, is we're trying to save the game. That's a cute little saying, and I trademarked it. It's a cute little saying, but that's not a cute little saying. What it is, we're literally trying to save the game. We have vision down the road, and every business needs to have vision. You can't look, it's not too bad today. What are you doing as the market shifts and changes, and your customers' desires and wants and needs change? And they haven't tapped into that. And so they're going to face a revenue cliff. The last thing I'll say, you can ask me some questions, would be Wayne Gretzky always said that a good hockey player always knows where the puck is, but a great hockey player knows where the puck's going. And that's what we're talking about here. Things are okay. We're all right. We'll make some changes. We'll put a guy in second base to get the game over quicker because we know it's boring. It's been 3 hours already. That's not going to solve anything. Where are you going? The kids aren't watching. What are we going to do to get them engaged? They're not at the ballparks. Drive by the high school, the Little League field in July. There's nobody out there, right? It's only the elite guys playing AAU ball where the parents are traveling around. But that's not the fan that's going to keep them. It's going to be the guy that the average kid that only played a year or 2 or 3 maybe. That's the wider base. And they're not watching. And don't blame it on video games. Why? The NFL is doing just fine. The NBA is doing just fine. Video games are there for those kids too. So my point is, a lot of things kids can do, but they can also do baseball while they do those things. And we have to make it interesting and entertaining for them.
So I know that you've been having a lot of conversations with some higher up people, assistant GMs. I'm not sure if you've been talking to GMs or not, but you've been talking to some high level people in Major League Baseball. How are they receiving this?
Yeah. So that's why I'm so excited about this. With everybody I talk to is saying, wow, Kevin, how can we help you? How can we help you? I attended a dinner in New York on Thursday. It was the Greater New York Sandlot Athletic Alliance, which is an alliance that's been around for 80 years and supports youth baseball in the 5 boroughs and the surrounding areas. They serve 25,000 kids a year that can't play ball because of money or conditions. We give them gloves, we give them balls, bats, we give them fields. We have some very nice arrangements for them. And then we have upper echelon players that are scouted, signed, and their mission is to make good human beings and good men and women out of the kids, help them to get into college, help them to get an education, help them to get a college scholarship, help them to get scouted, help them to get signed all the way up. So it's a great organization. So they had their awards dinner on Thursday night, and I was invited there, and I was invited to sit at the head table with the president of the association. And in that room was a number of Major League scouts, ball players, kids that played, men that played for many years in the minor leagues, that had a cup of coffee maybe up there too, coaches, so journalists, and they were all in the room. And I worked the room. Trust me, I worked the room. I talked to them all, made sure I did. I gave them a book, every single one of them. And I'll mention Billy Blitzer with the Cubs. He's going to be inducted into the New York State Hall of Fame next year. And I've been invited to go see him and be part of that. Jimmy Saprini, who's the head scouting supervisor for the Cincinnati Reds. Joe Gallagher with the St. Louis Cardinals. They all sat at my table. But the whole room, I gave out 40 books, spoke to everybody, and everybody says, Kevin, it's a great idea. It's what baseball needs. We got to get entertainment back. We're losing the kids. We got to hit the ball. See, the ballet of baseball begins when you hit the ball. when you're striking out, walking, and home run, there's no activity. 7 guys are standing around. The game has lost its entertainment value. And what we need to put back into it is the contact hitting, which stems from my book, and put the ball in play. And that's when the ballet begins. People are running. I mentioned Theo Epstein said, we got 7 great athletes standing around for the majority of the game doing nothing. They can run, they can throw, they can hit. They're great athletic, and the fans aren't seeing that. That's called entertainment. We're not doing it. And Brian Cashman also said, we need a new team next year. The team we had didn't put the ball in play. We got to put the ball in play more. We'll leave men on base. So it's the perfect time for this to happen. And there's not been one person that has, not said it. We're trying to get, I made a phone call yesterday to Dan O'Dowd. Dan O'Dowd was the GM for the Rockies for 18 years and also for the Reds for 11. And he's on MLB Central with Mark DeRosa. And they talk about this without a solution. This is what we need. Everything I'm saying. But they don't have the solution. I got the solution. So I made a call to him. I'm waiting for him to call me back. But we're trying to get the people with a loud voice and a large platform to get behind us, which is what we're doing. And then when we unleash this after the Super Bowl, we're going to get out big and furious. So
this really has to start from the top down. If Major League Baseball is willing to make that change and bring back the game the way it used to be, then it'll trickle down. Because like you had said before, right now they're looking for all of these big hitters, all of these guys that can put the ball out of the park. Well, if the game changes, now they're going to start looking for hitters that are more contact hitters, gap type hitters, and then the game will trickle down. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not going to trickle down. Trickle down won't work. It's got to be forced down. That's part of our solution. Right now, the way they're teaching all the kids and all everywhere is the launch angle. The launch angle is the effect of the lift swing. If people say, you don't know what you're talking about, there is no launch angle. Every ball is a launch angle. I get that. A line drive is 90 degrees or zero, up at 90 degrees. So they all have a launch angle as a result of the swing, but the lift swing is what creates that. But so they're not going to necessarily change at the top very quickly because they're paying these guys a lot of money to play that way. But as they recognize that they need to do something with the youth, you have to begin to tell, and part of our solution is to have public service announcements with the Mike Piazzas of the world during the games that, hey, Major League Baseball is looking for contact hitters, guys that can handle the bat, hit 330, steal bases. We're looking for that because right now the way they're teaching them, if they want to get into high school, they want to get a scholarship, the only way to do it is the way they're doing it up there. And so we need to tell them we're also looking as an alternative because you're going to need some power hitters, but you can't have 9 power hitters. You need guys to set the table and put entertainment in the game. So if they drive that down into the lower ranks, the ladder leagues, so to speak, on the way up, they'll begin to teach it there. And we can develop a crop of players in the minor leagues and whatever that are coming up that will fit that bill. And so it's not going to be trickled, but it's going to be forced down. And that's part of the plan that we have.
Yeah, it's funny because what you're talking about here reminds me very much of the movie Moneyball and the whole story with Billy Beane, where they're all sitting around the room and all these so-called experts are talking about, oh, well, we need this guy who, he hits a ton, and all they kept going, every player that Billy Beane kept bringing up was what was the whole thing? They get on base, and that's how they built their base. But why is that? Why did that make for an interesting movie? Because he's on an island. Nobody else is doing that. Everybody else is looking for the big name who's going to go ahead and, they're going to hit 35, 40 home runs, which ironically historically is not that special at this point. Yeah. We've had over 60. So it's while looking for excellence, we're it's like we're promoting mediocrity, and it's a weird dichotomy there. That's the attitude.
Well, everything's driven by analytics today, and I think we're going to see a shift in that soon. But analytics will tell you that the lift swing will create a more valuable hit. That's what they hang their hat on. It's a more valuable hit. One swing, you get 3 runs. Then that's true. You can have, like I said, 2 home runs in a game, first inning and 8th inning, nothing in between. You got a boring game. You scored 6 runs. It doesn't feel very exciting. So they call it a more valuable hit. But what it does, it saps the entertainment out of the game. And once again, baseball's in the entertainment business, just like football, basketball, tennis, golf, movies, Netflix. They all want people to watch, right?
Right.
And they got to do things to get them there. And so it's what they've done. The game of baseball hasn't changed. Everybody's complaining, the game has changed. No, it hasn't. You got 4 bases, you got a bat, a ball, glove, 60 feet, 6 inches, 90 feet to the diamond. It's exactly the same. The way they're playing the game now has changed. They've changed the fundamentals of the game. And if I can compare it to another analogy, it'd be like football changing the fundamentals of the game. If they decided, you know what, we're not going to run the ball anymore. We're going to throw the pass every down. Matter of fact, we're going to throw it down the field like the Hail Mary every time, because that's a more valuable play. If we get it, we'll score a touchdown. So they did that, which changed the fundamentals of the game. That pass, that Hail Mary pass, which is so exciting right now because it's usually 2 seconds left in the game, it was every time, and it failed 80, 90% of the time, it would become very dull and boring. We changed the fundamentals of the game. Baseball has done the same thing. Let's go and hit the Hail Mary every time. Let's go for the home run every time and take away the run. We'll take away the base hit, take away the gapper, take away the hit and run, take away all that stuff that made up the game of baseball. And so they do it. So they've changed the fundamentals, and therefore the way they play the game has become quite boring. And they'll tell you it's a more valuable hit, and we can win more games that way. And maybe you're right. But if the stadium's half full and no one's watching on TV, does it matter that you're winning? The game of baseball, the sport of baseball, could be irrelevant in 15 years because your customer base is dwindling, and they're not interested in what you're selling. It's like if you sold donuts and they say, we don't like the way your donuts taste. Well, you got to change the way the donut tastes. Otherwise, they're not going to buy it. And they don't like the way baseball tastes right now, and they need to change it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I love that you kept mentioning fundamentals, because that's all that it screams to me about fundamentals. Because I know, not that, listen, I was taught a lot of things that weren't good back in the day as well, but one of the key things that I know to be true is, what's the easiest out in baseball? The single easiest out in baseball is the pop fly or the fly ball. Right? It's easier because it's a one, could be one pitch. I mean, you could say strikeout, but you got to do it at least 3 times, if not 4, 5, 6, when the foul ball's off. So the easiest out, I've always said, in baseball is the pop fly, the fly ball. And what else are we teaching if we're going with the whole arced swing? Is, yeah, you're going to hit more home runs, but what else are you going to do? You're going to hit a ton of lazy fly balls. And especially when you're dealing with, okay, when you're 12 playing on the small field, lazy fly balls can be a good thing because it's going to go out. With the way the bats are made these days and the speed of the pitches coming in, you're going to have a ton of home runs. But now you switch up as a JV player or as a modified player, 9th grade, 10th grade, you're not hitting home runs out of the big league field. And what are you hitting? Lazy fly balls. And it's out after out after out. And again, that's not exciting. That's not a good premise for winning baseball games and moving your career up the ladder. So I just, it just screams at me about getting back to fundamentals. Hit the ball hard, the ball hard, get on base, steal a base, make something happen, make the other team make an error, win the game.
Yeah, I don't want to run the risk, and you're not, of sounding like some old guy that things were better in my day, kid. That's right. Not what we're doing here, and you didn't do that either. But the fundamentals of the game, the kids coming up, the fundamentals of the game for them are what they're watching on TV. It's not what you just said, right? They don't know about that.
Right.
They know about that, and they know about the guy dropping the bat and flipping it off and getting $1 million. So that's what they see, and that's what the coaches, and that's what they're being taught. And so the single most thing that's changed the game, and you can go on about whatever you want about the game, and that they show off too much, this, that. The swing has created so much change. And that's what we're trying to change, is the swing. The swing has created the shift. Everyone says, you shouldn't have a shift. Yeah, I'd shift too. If he's going to hit the ball over there every time, I'd put 9 guys over there, if that's what he's going to do, right? So this
drives me crazy.
So they stop swinging like that and choke up or contact hit and hit a few line drives or ground balls through shortstop, the shift goes away, right? So they've created the shift. They've also created the fact that the game is now 3.5 hours long, because the pitchers know these guys have this big wind-up torque thing and swing, and you got to start your swing earlier because the ball potentially can come in at 95 miles an hour. They have other pitches, but the fastball is 95, and you got to catch up to that. So they start their swing sooner. And so they're not throwing strike and throwing balls near the strike zone to try to get them to commit to it. They can't stop their swing once they start. And the big death knell for them now is there's 2 pitches. One is the fastball above the belt, because you're coming up, and if you're not going to get there in time, you're always going to swing under the ball. There's a picture in my book, on page 47, of a player in the major league swinging, and as he's swinging, he swung right through that ball. No, he didn't. You can't. Right? He swung just underneath it because he didn't get to that spot. But the stadium lights will show you the ball and the bat and the shadow of the ball on the barrel of the bat. It's a fantastic picture, which will show you that he's swinging just under it. There's just enough room and you can see it. But that's what they're going to do every time is swing under the ball. But that's what the swing is created. So the pitchers are throwing the slider. That's a late breaker. They can't hold up. Check swing. These guys are the best players in the world. And they look like little leaguers. They can't stop that swing. It's in the dirt. And they strike out on it. They walk away. It's created the pitchers that are throwing. They used to throw like 500 pitches in a game, between the two teams. Now they're throwing 700-800 pitches because they're not throwing pitches to get batters out by contact. They're trying to get them to swing balls that miss. So they're going deeper in the counts. The game gets longer. When was the last time you saw a complete game? That's a long time ago. But the bad thing is that these pitches are being taken out in the fifth inning, not the sixth, seventh, or eighth, because they got a two-hitter going and they've already thrown 100 pitches. They got to come out. Why? Because they're throwing the ball all around the plate, trying to get the guy to swing at things that he can't hit. And the count goes deeper, the game goes longer, there's less action. It takes 3 minutes and 40 seconds for a ball to be put in play in the major leagues. I always say you can go walk the dog, make a bologna sandwich, sit down, same guys at bat. Kids like, when is something going to happen here, Dad? What's going on? You and I might like the chess game of the ball being in and out, whatever, but it's even getting boring for me. But the kid's not going to stick around and watch nothing. So the swing is the root cause of all the problems at baseball that I believe, and they're trying to make changes, but they're just trying to shorten a boring game, and that's not going to get the kids to watch. So we have solutions. Save the game. It's coming.
So the national governing body for amateur baseball is USA Baseball. Have you reached out to them at all? Have you had any discussions with them? I've
reached out to many, many organizations, right? Some respond, some don't. I reached out and spoke with the CEO of Little League. They have my book in their store. They sell it. I cannot get them to commit to aligning with me on this movement, but I'm going to bring in some major league players to see if we make that connection. I've connected with Perfect Game, which is the largest amateur organization in America for amateur baseball. I'm sure you know that Major League Baseball uses them for scouting and whatnot. The founder of that, Jerry Ford, absolutely loves my idea, has the book on all his websites, has it in all his programs. There's a league called Dixie League Baseball down in the South, the 14-state league that Sandy Jones is the commissioner of, loves it, has it. And I have it with Boston Red Sox RBI Foundation. I have a lot of different spots, right, where the book is. I haven't unleashed Save the Game yet with a lot of these organizations. I'm waiting till just the right time, which will probably be just after January, when I have the support that I'm gathering now. Just this past, like I said, Billy Blitzer, the scout, was there. Cincinnati Reds, John Saprini was there. John Morris is the assistant GM of Cincinnati Reds. He's a big proponent of it. He was the guest speaker at the dinner. The commissioner of all of New York State public high schools was there. He's a proponent of it. Joe Salamini played 14 years in the Pittsburgh organization, Hall of Fame, New York. How can I do? Here's my card. How can I help? Everybody I speak to at all different levels. Jeff Fry, and he gave me a list of 130 names of Major League Baseball players he's in contact with that we're going to spread this out to. And I'm talking about some big names that you're going to know and recognize. So we're excited about the reception we're getting. Everyone sees that the game needs to be changed, except the analytical people. And we're trying to tell them before they have the revenue cliff that it's coming. And when you say you talk to Major League Baseball, who's that exactly? Who's Major League Baseball? Well, Major League Baseball is the scouts I talk to. That's Major League Baseball. The GMs I'm talking to, that's Major League Baseball. But really, it's the GMs and it's the owners, right? And it's the commissioner. They're going to dictate who my pitching coach is, who my hitting coach is. Here's the style we want to get to, right? So a lot of these guys that I'm talking to agree with me, but they got to go and hire people to teach the lift swing because that's what they want, right? So we got to get up above that. And we got to I don't have to get 30 owners. I can get 3-5 owners, that can take a look at it and say, you know what, we can make sense. We'll do it. And as they do it, it could matriculate out to the others. But we're going to get it done. We got their attention, and I got the right people behind it. We'll unleash this. But I'll tell you what, it's the average fan that might be listening to this right now. They got to go on to the site when it's open, and it will be right after the Super Bowl, and express your displeasure. We're going to pick up your displeasure. We're going to work for you and bring it to Major League Baseball and say, we got to make a change. I want this game around for not my kids, my grandkids, because the kid that's 9 and 10 years old, that's your base in 15 years. He's 25, 30 years old. He's having kids. And if he's not watching the game, his kid's not watching the game, and your customer base shrinks, revenue shrinks, and all of a sudden you become worse than dying. is becoming irrelevant. Being around and nobody noticing. It could be like soccer is a great sport, but you can't put it on TV, right? Nobody watches it, right, on TV. Right. Same thing with lacrosse, great sport. I love lacrosse. Somebody said something at the dinner the other night about lacrosse. A lot of baseball players go in lacrosse, great athletes, and they play lacrosse. Right. See, lacrosse is Indian. I think it's an Indian word, Native American word, excuse me. And if you translate lacrosse, what it means is can't hit a curveball. That's what it means. I just thought that was great. They got a lot of guys. I thought that was a funny line. So anyway, save the game. It's coming. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to save the game for not just us, the kids and their kids. America's always lived on baseball. It's been a tradition where you know where you were when this happened. You know where you were when that happened. And kids now aren't paying attention. We got to make a change.
One of the things too that Dave and I are big proponents of, and I'm very passionate about, is educating coaches. So do you have a plan to start educating coaches on this style of hitting and to remove that launch angle from, because really, it has to, eventually it has to get down to the coaches, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be teaching this.
Yeah. So the way, once again, the way you want to get this message out broadly is through not me. I'm a nice guy. Thanks for having me on my show. But we need to get to the masses, right? And I can't get to the masses. Who can? I don't know. Jeff Fry, Mike Piazza, Pudge Rodriguez, I don't know, Alex Rodriguez, right? If they start speaking this message out to get people in here, right, to sign this petition, and we bring it to Major League Baseball, and then Major League Baseball shifts their directions, or some teams shift their direction, and let them know that out there, the coaches and the parents, et cetera, that, we're looking for a different type of player now. We're going to look for that fundamental player that makes contact. Because, like I say, they're coaching now to get there. And there is the launch angle swing. It's the lift swing. And so they need to redirect the message, once again, through public service announcements, through different other public service engagements that we're going to have, to tell the coaches there's a better way to do it. And I'm going to use my book as a foundation if need be. And I'm not looking at, once again, I'm going to give it away. I'm going to donate it. I'm going to get out to I'm going to give 500 books to this Greater New York Sandlot Athletic Alliance to get out to the parents of all those coaches out there, of all the players out there, so they can teach their kid. They don't got to send them to the guy down the street who's a Lily coach. He's just somebody else's parent. He owns a local drugstore, but he has time on his hands or something. So we need to give them, empower them. And so this book, so that's one of the things we're going to do. But the message to the coaches is going to come from the top. And when they say we're going to scout this kid, we're going to look for this kid, you can get a college scholarship with this type of play, it'll shift the way they think. And then we give them a process by which to do it, and it makes sense. There's a symbiotic relationship between the two, youth baseball and Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball needs them watching. They need them watching the game. They got to make it more interesting. We got to change that game so they become interested. And Major League and these guys down here need to be taught how to hit properly so they stay with the game and it's fun. And so there's a connection between the two. And we got to draw that connection in, because they're not going to be here in 15 years. And Major League Baseball stadiums are going to be half empty because the guys that are watching it now and going now not going to be around. We all move on and get replaced, and we're not being replaced.
Well, that's already an issue as far as the stadiums not being full. It's, look around, you look at these games on TV and you can see the empty seats. I mean, they strategically paint the seats a certain color so it looks like there's fans in the stands when you watch it on TV. So that's obviously already happening, been happening for years. They're not doing, like you said, they're trying little bits and pieces of things to slow that down, but they're not looking to make any use the same word, fundamental changes. And it's foolish. It's foolish. Like I said, you put the blinders on and just keep going further the same direction. It's the same thing's going to happen.
Yeah, the changes they're making, David, like I said, they're trying to change the shortening the game, which is good. But you're just taking a boring game and making it a little shorter, but boring. So it's not going to draw people back to the game. It's still a boring game. I was at the Tampa Bay Boston Red Sox playoff game in Tampa Bay, and they used to have 45,000 seats. Now they got 32,000 seats, and they got 4,000 seats covered with tarp, so it doesn't look empty. And it still had thousands of seats that weren't full. And of course, they're going to be leaving Tampa Bay because they don't have support. But if somebody was to build a baseball stadium tomorrow, the mistakes they made 20 years ago, they built Shea stadiums, they're like 55,000. They don't build them anymore. They're building 30,000, 35,000. They want it to be looked full, and they're not going to get 60,000 people anymore. Maybe in a World Series game potentially. But this was a playoff game. They couldn't get people to come. So the point is they're making changes. They know they have a problem, but they're making them in the wrong directions. We're going to bring it to them. Here's where you need to make the change. It's called entertainment, and people aren't watching because it's not entertaining. And we have suggestions on how to make it more entertaining.
Right. So we just touched a little bit on the optics of it from a television standpoint. One of my biggest problems is when I was a kid, games were played during the day. Weekend games were played during the day. People could watch them. I know me, I have a hard time staying up for the games. The games start 8, 9 o'clock at night, and they're not over till after midnight. Kids can't watch it. Do you address that at all, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, here's the deal. Number one, they're not going to go back to playing games during the day because it's all about revenue. It's all about advertising, right? And where's the audience? They're working, so the audience is at night. So it's going to be at night. So they got to start the games early. Okay, that's great. They're still going to go, even if it's a 3-hour game, which is not a 2.5-hour game, they're still going to go 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Point is, kids don't have to watch 9 innings. I never watched 9 innings maybe when I was a kid. I'd sit down with mom and dad and watch 3 or 4 innings, time for bed now. But during those 3 or 4 innings, I got to see the game. It was an exciting game. Maybe I'd stay up. But, so if you can have them sit down and have things happen, have entertainment there.
All right, so this is all great stuff. I know you have a lot of big names that are helping you out with this. One of the ones that caught my attention was Jeff Fry. Why don't you go ahead and tell us, how did your relationship with him start up?
Yeah, Jeff Fry, for those that don't know, is a major league player. He's played 9 years in the bigs. He hit 290. So he did something right here for the cycle for Toronto. He played for 4 different teams: the Rockies, Toronto. He played for the Red Sox, and he played for Texas. And he knew how to hit. He was a guy that wasn't drafted. He took the hard road up. But anyway, he's a contact hitter, and he began getting notoriety on social media because he was watching all these different gurus, as he calls them, teach hitting to kids. And a lot of these gurus were teaching very complicated things, using all sorts of gadgets, rakes and washboards and beach balls under your arm and things around your neck so you can't move, all this stuff, And so he began to do viral videos about making fun of him, taking little jabs at him, and it looked ridiculous when someone else was saying about how to hit. And so he caught on. He's gone viral now. His website is shegonhitting.com, and she gone hitting. And the way that came about in the big leagues, he would be in the dugout when somebody hit a home run. You could tell right away that ball's going, and they would yell, "She gone!" And so that's where that came from. It's a little confusing to me. But anyway, so he's doing that stuff. I'm watching what he's doing. So I reach out to him. I say, "Hey, man, good you're doing this, but I'm all on board. And here's what I'm doing. Here's a book I wrote. Here's what I'm trying to do to save the game." And he bought into it completely, right? So he took my book. He's selling it on his site. He's done several videos for me promoting it. And we're both now leading this charge along with another colleague named Pat Gallagher. But Jeff Fry is the major leaguer that's reaching out to all his major league friends. And he's brought 130 of them together. That's going to help us get this message out when we're ready, which I say is right after the Super Bowl. So that's how I got involved with Jeff. We have the same philosophy and idea, and he believes strongly, like I do, that we're teaching our kids wrong. The game's not entertaining to them, and we got to get them in, or the game's going to die. So he's my colleague, my sidekick, and that's how I got involved with Jeff.
And he's got a very big presence on Twitter. He's at almost 14,000 followers. So, that's
growing.
Yeah, and growing. Yeah. I know that's a great platform, for him to get his message out and your message out, which is a great thing.
Keep in mind, Coach, and I appreciate what you said, Coach, that it's my message, but it's our message. I mean, it's all the people sitting at home that are complaining about the game, and there's a lot of things to complain about. The hot dog costs too much money, the parking's no good, stadiums are no good, the games are too long, they flip their bat, they do whatever it might be. But what we're talking about here is literally trying to save this game, because if in 15 years you don't have a customer base, the game's going to become irrelevant. And that's what we need to address. We're going to keep it simple. We need to get the kids watching the game. We got to teach them properly so they stay with the game, so that baseball, our game, will survive. We're going to need everybody to do it. We're going to use all these major leaguers to get the voice out, but they need you to respond, to go to SaveTheGameUS.com and click the button to get us a million signatures. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, this is great. That's what we want everybody to do. If all our listeners, we want you to support this cause, because it is, as Kevin says, it's our cause. I mean, this is what Jimmy and we talk about every week or every show. And if we're not getting that groundswell of support, then it's not going to go anywhere. And this game is going to it's going to die a slow, painful death. And that'd be the worst thing in the world, I know, for me and my kids. So just let's get out there. We want to go to savethegameus.com, savethegameus.com, sign up on there, make sure that they know our voices can be heard. Also, we want you to go out to hittingsimple.com, go ahead and look for Kevin's book. And it'd make a great, we got the holiday season coming up. It's a great gift to give to anybody who has a youth player, anybody that's coaching youth players. Hittingsimple.com to get the book, savethegameus.com, sign up. And we're looking at we're hoping somewhere around February to really have this thing really up and running.
Yeah, for the next, we got the holidays coming, and we got the whole height of football and the playoffs, which is great, and then the Super Bowl. And then it dies down, right? Now it starts slowly building up to spring training. So after the Super Bowl, when we know we'll get attention to it, is when we're going to release it. And like I said, it's our movement. I'm the one bringing it forward, but I need everybody else. Okay, we need America, the average fan, to save our game. Right now, Major League Baseball is looking down here. We're looking out there. We see a problem coming, and we have to fix it, and we can, and we got ideas to do it. So savethegameus.com is the site. I do have we produced this for the dinner just the other night, but if you want this, if you go to savethegameus.com, there's a place to sign, put your name and your email, and we'll save that. And when we launch this, we'll reach out to you to make sure you sign it, or we'll sign it for you if you want us to, or you can reach out to me. My email address is on there too. If any questions, if you want one of these particular folders, which very simply tells you what the problem is and what the solution is and how we're going to save the game, I'll get this out to you as well. But once again, it's our game. It's our responsibility to try to save the game and to have the vision that in 15 years it may not be here. And you talk about dying a slow death. That's hard to watch. But before you die, you become irrelevant, and that could be worse than dying. Just being not nobody's even paying attention, and that's what we want to avoid. So,
I want to emphasize also that, like Kevin just said, this is a movement. This is not anything that Kevin is selling. Right. I know a lot of people in youth sports are always wary of somebody trying to sell something to try and make money. In this situation, no, there is no money involved. This is join the movement. For in order to save the game so that we can bring the game back.
Jimmy's dogs are even really excited about it.
Yeah, they love it. Get them to sign up. Hey, to that point, you're 100% right. Now, I got a book. I wrote a book. I'd love you to buy the book. Go buy the book. That's not connected to this movement. And if you want to buy the book and you can't afford it, email me. I'll give it to you. This is a pure movement. Save the game. We're not trying to make money. Eventually, I'll probably have a donate button on that website, to be honest with you. I'm funding this right now, and I can see it's going to get real expensive. So we're going to be a nonprofit organization by that time, and we'll probably need some funding to go to the cause. But no one's making money here. I'm not looking to. And I'll donate books, and I'll give books away if we need to help parents understand how to teach their kid to hit so they have fun, get dirty, and want to come back tomorrow.
All right. Well, thanks again to Kevin Gallagher for coming on. Really enjoyed this conversation with you, Kevin. Again, everybody get out there, hittingsimple.com, savethegameus.com. On Twitter, you want to go to #SaveTheGame, and you can see all the professionals of managers and players, former players talking about this. This is going to be a great groundswell movement. I look forward. Jimmy and I are part of it, and we're going to keep promoting it on our show. So let's get out there, everybody join in, and let's make sure that we do, in fact, save this game. Thanks for coming on,
guys. Thank you, David, and thank you, Coach. And for the listening audience out there, keep an eye out and keep an ear out. I'll be doing a nationwide tour on radio and TV and print, and you'll be hearing more from me on your local radio station.
Kevin, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I think that your message is an important one for everybody involved with youth baseball. Once again, people, please listen to Kevin's message. It's important for the game.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. We look forward to having you back on once the website is fully up and running and functional, and you're doing your tour. All right. We'll reach out to you in the spring.
Awesome. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, and one last thing. Did I mention we need to save the game? We need to save the game, guys.
So there you have it. There's a conversation with Kevin Gallagher of hittingsimple.com, the author. Teach your kid to hit so they don't quit. Again, this is not just blowing smoke up anybody's butt here. This is a great book. I think it can be fantastic for our listeners, and I recommend everybody get it. And then also going out to the website, savethegameus.com. Sign up now. You're not going to get bombarded with stuff. It's going to be a couple of months before it's really up and going. They want to wait until the football season's over, which makes all the sense in the world. And once it is baseball season, we'll start promoting that even more. But get out there now and sign up so you don't miss anything.
Yeah, and understand, please, that it's not about, it's not a money-making scheme. I just want to, I know I keep emphasizing that, but I know people are gun shy of, people looking to try and make money. This is a movement to try and save the national pastime.
Yeah, because if that continues to go the rate that it's going, there won't be any reason for you and me to talk every week. So, that would be horrible.
Good point.
Anyway, so that's our show. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, let's rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Make sure we keep spreading the word. We recommend it to your friends. Our listenership keeps growing. I want to thank the folks at player.fm for putting us on that list. Podcasts worth a listen. We're growing up the charts there, and the results have been strong. So let's keep going in the right direction. One of the things that we did talk about on the show was about the attitude, and you guys know my feelings on that. The two main things that we can control at all times are our effort and our attitude. Give me a positive mental attitude, PMA, 100% effort at all times. Good things will follow. Final thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, so I hope this show was able to bring to the forefront some of the problems that we have with the game of baseball. And I'm sure a lot of people are aware of it out there. I hear a lot of people talk about different things, what's wrong with the game here, what's wrong with the game there. But most of it centers around the game taking too long and not being enough action. So I believe that Kevin's cause is a good one that I hope that we get people to understand where Kevin is coming from. So I want to thank everybody for listening as usual. And always remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.